Hi, I'm Jared. Welcome to Everyday in Adventure, and today we're going to be talking about how I bought my military truck, my M54A2 5-ton. So let's get into it. Okay, so actually I'm currently sitting in it. We're at the 10-mile mine outside of Winnemucca, Nevada. I just did a video kind of going into the mine, and I didn't show it on video, but I do have the beer cans that I collected in the back of the truck now, so that when I leave, I will leave this place nicer than I found it. And that's important. It's always important to leave places nicer than you found them. And in fact, I see another couple cans I'm going to grab right here in a minute, just outside of the truck. Sorry, ADHD. Anyway, so, right. I was looking for a military truck. I needed a 6-wheel drive. It needed to be I was looking for either a deuce and a half or a 5-ton. 5-tons were preferable because they're stouter, they can haul more weight. Deuce and a half, I want to say, so a deuce and a half will hold 5,000 pounds in the bed off-road, 10,000 pounds in the bed on-road, and it'll pull about 15, 20,000 pounds. I don't remember exactly what they're rated for. I know that this truck, the 5-tons, are rated for 30,000 pounds on the pintle. The tractor trucks, the fifth-wheel trucks, are rated for like 50,000 pounds. So they're real pulling machines. This truck, the 5-ton, is rated for 20,000 pounds in the bed, and that was really perfect for me. The bed is just big enough, I think, to fit my dozer in it if I can get a set of ramps that'll actually work for it. My dozer weighs about 17,000 pounds. So I wanted something that I could carry the dozer out into the desert with to do a little bit of gold exploration on BLM claims. And this truck works for that. But I also wanted this truck just for like adventure purposes. I wanted something that I could beat on that I wouldn't break. Now, sure, and I've explained it in other I've explained it in other videos that these trucks are not necessarily reliable. They're hard to maintain. They're high maintenance. Everything on them's heavy. They're kind of a pain, but they are very good at taking abuse. These trucks were built to be driven by teenagers that would just beat the ever living out of them. This truck, I'm not sure if it ever went to Vietnam, but it was built for the Vietnam War. And there's also some interesting history with these particular 5-tons when it relates to having guns on them and their role in Vietnam. If you're interested in the subject, look up Vietnam gun trucks. The History Channel, I think, did an amazing documentary, like a historical documentary on them. And they're just, it's a fantastic video that covers like the role of some specific trucks in Vietnam and a little bit of forgotten history, which was very cool. It's very cool to learn that stuff. So this truck I bought, I actually bought it locally here in Winnemucca, Nevada. And when I was initially looking for trucks, I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay. I was looking everywhere for a truck that wasn't necessarily the nicest. I didn't want to pay $15,000 or $20,000 for one of these trucks. I wanted to be closer to like $5,000. And there are a couple vehicles that I knew of that I learned about in Nevada, and then one in Utah. That one was, it was an M52A2, which is the 5th-wheel truck. So I would have had to, in order to carry cargo, I would have had to buy a 5th-wheel trailer to put behind it. And that truck was $3,500. And I got a hold of the guy that owns it. And like loads of people on Facebook Marketplace these days, what I found out was that when it came to actually selling the vehicle, the guy, I mean, sure, maybe he had good intentions, but like I I asked him questions about the truck. He responded to immediately, and then I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be busy for the next couple of weeks. If you still got it, uh, I will let you know um, what day is a good day for me to come down and look at it." And this truck is like 4 hours away from me. It wasn't going to be particularly easy to get it, and I was planning on driving it home. Um, and a couple of weeks came and went, and I had the money put together. I had worked overtime for 2 weeks straight to buy this specific truck, and like this is the one I was saving my money for, and the guy would not get back a hold of me. And I said, okay. In the meantime, like he would not tell me a day that I could go look at it, because I would have took time off work to go look at this truck so I could I could put some diesel in it and drive it home. And that truck was, like I said, it was $3,500, and it was missing its roof, the passenger windshield, and the doors. So I would have had to have replaced those. The doors would have cost me about $500 a piece. The windshield was about $200, and the cab was anywhere like the soft tops are about $500, which I would have been fine putting a soft top on it. But you know, the guy never got back a hold of me, so I started looking for another truck. And I was coming across some deuce and a halves that were in like pretty ratty shape. I even found like an old like GMC M135 gasser truck. Like definitely not the truck I wanted, because it wouldn't run alternative fuels. It would just run gasoline, which I was not about. I didn't want to do that. But there is another truck that I know of that, like I said, it's a gas truck that's pretty cheap, and I'm still thinking about buying it, maybe in the future, not currently, because I'm super broke from this purchase. Well, not really super broke, but I this purchase was expensive, and a lot of things around it are expensive, and keeping fuel in it is expensive. So it'll be a bit before I can raise up enough money again to potentially buy this other truck, because I do have a project that I would love to finish, that would take that engine transmission and the front and one of the rear axles, to finish that truck. And that would be pretty cool, because then that would be a 1970s model international truck, and I'd probably put a pickup bed on it. And then I have a set of 1420s to go on that, and 1420s are 48-inch tall tires. So anyway, sorry for getting sidetracked. So I've been looking for a truck, and I've been finding, and there's another truck in Utah that I found that was the same deal. It was an M52A2, or no, it was an M52A1, had the Mac diesel in it instead of the multi-fuel, which was fine. I was willing to deal with the diesel instead of a multi-fuel. I didn't really prefer the multi-fuel. The Mac actually makes more power. So I got a hold of that guy, and that guy is based out of Alaska, and he mentioned that the truck was at his brother's house, and I could go look at it. And when I tried to get a hold of him to find out, his brother's, like, a phone number or a way to contact him so I could set up a time and date to look at this thing, he would not respond. So I ended up, I joined a Facebook group looking for, I put an ad out looking for 5 tons, preferably, but also deuce and a half, like, of the diesel or multi-fuel generations. I didn't want anything. I didn't want an old gasser, and so I sat on that ad for a while, and at this point, I was pretty dejected about it. I couldn't find the truck I was looking for. Everybody wants an arm and a leg for their trucks because, well, they're restored. And like when I posted the ad, I posted like, I want running, driving, and I want the truck to run, drive, stop. That's all it's got to do. And people are like, responding to this wanted ad with like, oh yeah, I have a completely restored, I have a completely restored deuce and a half on brand new tires with brand new this and a rebuilt engine. And it's like, man, that's not what I'm looking for, because you're going to want 25 grand for this truck and I don't have it. It's not that I don't have the means, it's just that I refuse to go into debt for vehicles. So I will only buy things in cash. This one is sort of an exception, because it took so long to find the truck, and because part of I like I said, I worked 2 weeks straight overtime at the company I work for, and then on top of that, I also sold a CBR 600 F4 that I had, and I sold it cheap to a friend, but that friend ended up having an emergency and couldn't pay me. He couldn't pay me all of it up front immediately, so that ended up kind of falling apart. And like I eventually ended up agreeing to do payments on it for like, I sold the bike for $1,500, so I was going to get 3 payments of $500, and that's worked out so well so far. However, I was missing this extra $1,000 that I wanted to have, so I could have money on top of the purchase and afford, groceries and fuel, and be able to actually, do some stuff like buy my GoPro for this channel, because I had been wanting to start my channel back up and actually put some new good content out. Well, what I would find to be good content. I hope that you're in the same, I hope that you're in the same boat and find this stuff interesting. But either way, so like I said, I have ADHD. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. So the thing in Utah didn't work out. Posted an ad on a Facebook group for military vehicles, buy, sell, trade. That didn't work out. I posted an ad in a local Facebook group, and a guy got a hold of me and said, hey, my father-in-law's got a few of those trucks, and he might be interested in selling. Here's a phone number. So, I was at work when I got that, and I texted my wife and I said, hey, go onto my Facebook, get the number for the guy, call him, and let's set up a time. I want to go look at one of these trucks. And from the way that they made it sounded like, hey, my father-in-law has a few of these trucks and he's looking to retire. So I thought that they were going to be work trucks in a gravel pit, or something similar. We have a lot of gravel pits out here. It's a good way to make money if you've got the land with gravel on it. And so that's what I was expecting. And then when I finally go to look at these trucks after getting lost for like an hour, this place is out in the middle of nowhere. I met this really interesting guy there, the guy that owns the trucks, and he's in his 70s. He's immigrated from England. He used to raced the Isle of Man TT for a little bit. I couldn't get the year that he raced out of him, but anyway, so this guy's got probably like when his son-in-law said that he had a few, I didn't expect that he meant that he had all of them. But he did. He had loads of these trucks. This was one of, of the style truck I was looking for, he probably had 30 of them. He had loads of deuce and a halves, loads of old military vehicles of all sorts. I think he said he sold a tank fairly recently. He's got Humvees. If you're looking for a military vehicle, deuce and a halves, like modern style deuce and a halves, not the M53A3, but the M35A3, but the M35A2s, the multi-fuel trucks, or the M39 series bridge trucks. He has those, or he also has one of the 5-ton, or maybe two of the 5-ton expandable units, the ones that the expanding command structure that people turn into RVs. So if you're looking for one, just message me and I will give you the information that you need to get a hold of them. A regular deuce and a half, he was asking, I believe, 5,500 for. The 5 tons are 6,500. The bridge trucks, I think he wanted a little bit more because they're rare. Those trucks are 1,400. They have 1,420s. Those are 48-inch tall tires. They're 10.5-foot wide bed. Like really, really big truck, way bigger than a standard truck. You'll need a trailer and like a way to haul oversized loads. But so, I was walking through his yard and he was showing me the deuce and a half that he had, and I pointed to this truck and he said, "Yeah, I ran it out of fuel a couple years ago," and anyway, I ran it out of fuel a couple years ago. It's been sitting there ever since. I said, "Tight." And then I said, "Hey man, let me go to the bank." And he quoted me the price for it at $6,500. I noticed that it had a winch and that it was one of the multi-fuel trucks. It was the A2 truck. It was in the condition that I wanted. It has the fold down seats for the bed and the cargo bows. So it has a lot of stuff that I would have been buying for it anyway. That's why I chose this truck outside of just the winch, because the winch is super handy. They're 20,000 pound winch. They're great if you need to move equipment around in the yard or get stuff unstuck. Or like what I intend to do, which is put a boom on the front of it and use it as a boom truck on occasion when I need it. And so like I said, "Hey, let me go to the bank and go get some diesel and batteries." And so that's what I did. I headed to the bank, got the money out, gave them the money, put a fresh set of batteries out of my Ford that I had blown up. That's part of the reason I was looking for a new truck. I had an F-250 that I think I destroyed the injection pump on for the second time. Not from running alternative fuels, but this injection pump had like 400 miles on it. I think it picked up some trash when I switched from my front tank to my rear tank, because like it was running like crap on the way to work, like very close to work, about 30 miles out, and then on the way home it ran like crap, and then it finally died, and it would only run at over half throttle. I could only get it started if I pushed the throttle down to about halfway to the floor and then just drove the ever living out of it. So I robbed those batteries out of that truck, robbed the fuel out of that truck. I had another 5 gallons of diesel, so I put 20 gallons in this thing, filled the fuel filters up full of fuel, cranked it over a bit with the injection lines open so I could get them to bleed, closed them back up. I had somebody hold the can of ether to it, crank it over and start it, and it lit off instantly. And that's when I knew this was for sure the truck, and that I wasn't going to be buying anything else from him for that purchase anyway. But if I get the money, I would love to buy a lot of the stuff he's got out there. Like I said, it's a very cool place. He's got a 1,000-acre ranch and just loads of that, like 6-wheel drives and 4-wheel drives, like M715s, that sort of thing, like Humvees. Like he's got a very cool place, and everything's for sale for the right price. So anyway, that's the story of. And when I drove this thing home, I drove it home. I lost brakes because it was sitting for so long that it had some air work into the system. So when I left, it had brakes, and the brakes faded over time. I now have the brakes, and also like. I know in one of my other videos, you saw me grinding the gears for a while, trying to get it in second, but I do actually know how to drive a manual. I've been doing it for a long time. I know how to decelerate and, use the gears to slow it down. Once you get down into second gear, you're doing about 5. So I figured on the way home that because there was only like 2 turns involved in getting to my house, like before my driveway, obviously, uh, and virtually no traffic that day, that it would be acceptable to very slowly baby it on little to no brakes with just an emergency brake, if I needed it, and if I needed to, I could put it in the ditch. Like I said, I live in the desert, so there's no reason I couldn't just put it in a ditch or put it into a billboard at 5 miles an hour to save somebody else's ass. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story of how I got my truck, and so the reason I brought it up is this was supposed to be sort of a talk about expectations, like like with the market the way it is, with used vehicles and like new vehicles and houses and the like. You have to adjust your expectations to what fits the market. Uh, Wait for the right deal to come along, but also don't be delusional about what kind of deal you're going to get. Um, Something, and also don't spend too much time like badgering somebody to get back a hold of you if they're trying to sell a thing. If they wanted to sell it, they would get a hold of you and say, and actually do the deal instead of toying with you for days. So, just a word of advice. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.